It's the Dave and Georgie show.
Yay! Was that a bit much?
No, well, we've done it now, haven't we? So it's better than the 5 minutes we've just spent rambly deciding how to start our podcast. So that's we're going to roll with that.
Yeah.
So
Done. Okay.
done. There we go. Episode
Cool.
5.
Episode 5. Yep. And today we have got Debs and we have got Lee, and they'll give us a quick intro in a minute. But just to summarise why we're here and and what we're doing, I run a series of networking events, and Dave used to run a series of networking events and now does some really cool stuff in the world of referrals and teaching people and businesses how to do that. So do you want to give yourself a quick 101?
Well, it's all about human connection, isn't it, at the end of the day? And in this world of personalisation at scale and mass outreach and all that horrible stuff, human connection is more important than ever. And that's why it was an absolute no-brainer when you said, can I come and co-host with you? So, and speaking of my previous networking experience, almost 50% of the guests that you brought on so far, I actually know them from my membership days 15 years ago, and probably Debs more than any, because you were an ambassador for us when you ran our whole kind of Bournemouth show. So segueing lovely into our first guest of today. Tell us about yourself.
Funny word, it wasn't just Bournemouth. It was sort of Bournemouth
and Poole.
East
Okay.
Being from Poole, it has to be Poole.
Yeah.
I did. I was running South Coast Connections, which were really good events of 120 average attendees and just a couple over the 200 mark. It was great. So I think it was about just over 15 years ago. Yeah. But that's not what I do now, but I do still network a lot. What do I do now? I guess they call it, I used to say I have different hats. These days I think it's called fractional, isn't it? Or something.
Yep.
Some weird word I just picked up about
the buzzword
6 months ago. So one of my main hats is I raise investment for a vineyards and contract winemaking operation on the Surrey-Hampshire border. I love bubbles, so cheers. Cheers, which is very apt. But again, it's all people, totally with you on the people side. Still have a creative side, so it's to do presenting, voiceovers, bit of acting. I'm actually looking for something else at the moment, but coming to that later. But it's a very, very mini introduction.
Perfect. No, that's absolutely perfect. And Lee, I met you networking, I want to say about a year ago.
God, must be, I think,
And that was more local. That was out of, so these, for context, we record these in central London, but the networking events that I run are London and the home county. So I'm meeting people, Berkshire, Surrey, etc. But we meet here as a central hub to do the podcast. So we've done lots of networking together, both at my events, and you've invited me to some of the events that you go to as well. And we do have a good time when we're in London, don't we? We sort of let our hair down a little bit, and
as much as I
piss off, metaphorically speaking. But we do. It's a complete. The outside of London ones are quite subdued, I would say, compared to the London ones that can get quite. I wouldn't say wild as such, but we've had some great networking events together, haven't we? But you were first on my list of people that I would love to have got on the podcast. So episode 5, and finally got you here. So tell the world, tell the room what you're up to.
Yep. So good afternoon. So my company is Cromwell MDI. So I'm a data consultant, aka a geek. I'm not a super geek, but I am a geek. So I basically help people sort out their data. So we talked about humans here and being human. I spend most of my time looking at data on a big, massive screen all day. That's my comfort zone. I quite enjoy it. So typically I help people create dashboards and reports. So help them find all their data. The big thing at the moment I'm working on is shadow spreadsheets, basically Excel spreadsheets that sit everywhere in your estate. And you want AI to use them, but you need to know how to connect it all. And that's where I come in. So I've been doing my own stuff for about 7.5 years, always been in IT. Best thing I ever did was set my own business up by a long way. So, nice to see you this afternoon.
And on the subject of Geek, just before we started, Georgie was telling you off for not bringing Transformers in. So, talk to me. Yeah.
I'm a 48-year-old man, and I collect Transformers.
How big's your collection? What's in your collection?
I've got 24.
Because I'm a 45-year-old man who's jealous of your Transformers.
Yeah, so how this story came about was a guy I know I worked with, he collects He-Man, and he's got, I think, 3,000 He-Man, and collects Star Wars. and he told
3,000 He-Man.
3,000 He-Man. He has 8 versions of,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
He-Man
yeah.
of different generations.
Surely that's just hoarding,
Maybe.
isn't it? Yeah.
Maybe, but he likes them. And he's been to Comic Con to get loads of Star Wars, etc. But his main was He-Man. So he told me, either good or bad, that you can now collect Transformers. So I said to my wife, "Am I allowed to collect Transformers?" She went, "No." So I bought one anyway, and we've come to some sort of compromise. I'm allowed one a month. So if I skip a month, then I'm allowed 2. So we've stuck with that. We're still together, so it's obviously working a little bit.
Nice.
But yeah, they're not stupidly expensive, but they're my little my thing I enjoy. I go on calls, and we've all been calls. We think I don't really want to be here. I'll just get one out and start playing with it, and then put it back and do the next one. But they are so complicated. You cannot do the instructions. Absolutely.
100% completely agree. Yeah,
you have to build it. You've got to build it.
No.
but
No, you
just when
transform it.
Oh.
So I've got 2 of the Lego sets. I've got the
Okay.
Optus Prime and I've got Bumblebee, and Soundwaves is on the Christmas list. Thanks, Santa, for December. But these ones, they just obviously transform. So, but they are some of them are so
Complex.
complicated.
If you look, I've got some old Lego sets I've dug out the loft from when I was a kid, and then if you look at the instructions they gave you then compared to the ones you do now,
Absolutely
just a
insane.
world apart. But anyway, talking of what you love, I'm trying to bring it back somewhere into a business podcast before me and Lee just geek out on
I mean,
stuff.
I've still got so many questions about the Transformers, but we'll leave that for
another
later.
time. Debs, what do you love about what you do?
The people. Always about the people for me. I'd sort of have investors, quite small investors, or have larger investors, and I just sort of like meeting the people, finding out about them, getting to know them, showing them the vineyards and winery, taking their money, and then sort of staying in touch with them and going over to our new Essex winery with one of my investors next Wednesday, and it's flipping long way and deepest, darkest Essex. Sorry to anyone who lives in Essex, but this is a particularly long way when you live in Poole anyway, in Dorset. So I'm really looking forward to that because he's a fun guy and he's a fascinating guy as well. So good fun to be with.
You know what? There's a lot to be said about that, because one of the things I always talk about, particularly with clients when I'm talking about partnership strategy, particularly, and kind of broader referral strategy around networking, is about nurturing relationships and the fortunes in the full up and all this good stuff, right? But it is that much easier when you enjoy it as well, right? You still need to be disciplined. You still need to make sure you have CRMs or whatever system to remind you to do stuff. But when you do genuinely enjoy finding out about people, it makes it much easier, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah. And I always say, if they're mentally stimulating and good fun to be with, that fun is the bonus. But sort of, I like people who are mentally stimulating. I might struggle a bit if someone's really boring, but I can usually find something that we can gel over.
Yeah, and that's true in networking circles as well, right? I
massively.
think it's come up a couple of times on the podcast already, the thing about be interested before trying to be interesting. Well, it's a lot easier to do that when the other person's actually interesting, right? So, we've all been stuck in those conversations where you're like, oh, right. So anyway, and Lee, same question to you.
Mine's variety. I get bored so easily, so I'm doing the same thing continuously. I'll just lose my mind. So fortunately, what I do is always varies. Data's different, so that works incredibly well. From the people side, I like going to new companies. So I work for about 12 companies on and off at the moment. So going in, doing different things is really good. The challenge of that is you have the term I got told is context switching. So for what I could work for 5 people in one day. So you have to move from one environment to another environment. So that can be quite challenging to do, but I got quite used to that. So the variety definitely for me, and also IT environment, you have to learn, you have to adapt and change, and I like learning. I think most people, I told myself early 40s I was going to carry on learning, and I love that, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, variety for me, I do get bored quite easily.
I totally feel that when you say about working for different clients and having those different environments that you need to work with. Sometimes it can be quite difficult for people to motivate themselves to switch from one to the next.
Yeah.
But what I do, and I'm sure you probably do it in some capacity, is actually every day is a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And for some, that's really hard.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
once you've got that nailed and you can, do that instant switch, then
Yeah.
I think, working with phones and having that accessibility to systems and things that, just on your phone does make it a little bit easier. But no, I feel that, and definitely variety. And does everyone in the room have a short attention span? You get bored easily?
Oh yes.
Well, especially if I was working with spreadsheets all day. And I also hats off for trying to make spreadsheets sexy. Shadow spreadsheets. I'm like,
I didn't call it that. I heard that the other day and I thought, I'm having that. But it does come with its challenges. I mean, one of the reasons I did it, I worked a really good gig for just under 2 years, which was great fun. But I decided that a portfolio is better for me because it means I've always got work. So there's always people working. So that means I don't take a lot of holiday because I don't feel I need a lot of holiday because I don't really get that stressed with what I do. I'm not absolutely amazing with work stress, so that's why I do stuff that I don't have to get massively stressed. So I find the thing that I'm good at and get rid of the stuff I'm not good at, which a lot of people don't tend to do, sadly. But the two problems I have is for each one of those companies, I have an M365 account. So my Microsoft Authenticator app, I have to log on about 50 times a day. So there are drawbacks, but
Yeah.
minor drawbacks.
I had to leave. I'm not on Microsoft Suite anymore, and the final straw. I haven't been for a while. I'm on Google, but the final straw for me was when I realised that for about 3 years my password had been some variation of. With numbers and letters of Microsoft being shit. I was like, right, this is telling me all I need to know. Move away,
God.
move away. Shall we move on to the kind of the younger self stuff? Should we go Deb first?
So we ask a couple of questions each session that is really telling. And I love these because actually people come up with some great ideas, don't they? And it's a real nice way to
Can you start with him?
Real nice way to tap
No.
into your brain. So it's around what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah.
Keep it business. We could go on all day about
Yeah.
non-business related things, but what would you tell your younger self when they were young, literally?
Yeah.
But also, what would you tell your younger self if they were living in 2025 with all the different, technology advances and things? But yeah, I'll start with Lee as we're talking tech. Doesn't have to be techie.
No.
But what would you tell your younger self?
My younger self is not to worry so much. I'm naturally quite an anxious person anyway, although a lot of times it doesn't come across. So absolutely, that's the one thing I would tell my younger self is just chill a bit and don't worry about it. I learned that I had to train myself to do that sort of late 30s. So I do a lot of rugby coaching, quite high level, but I'm a certified life coach. So I did that prior to COVID. So that was my plan to move into that. So learning those skills was hugely useful, massively useful. Not necessarily about for myself, but how to get the best out of people and know how people change and what their values and drivers are. For me, a bit older is don't stay in a job that you absolutely hate. So when I was in telecoms for about 12, 13 years, loved that gig, but I went into a new job to get more money. But I went from working from home and wearing jeans, a t-shirt home to wearing a tie and a shirt, driving to Thames Ditton an hour early just to beat the traffic. And it just wasn't sold as the job it should have been. So I stuck with it for 5 years. Shouldn't have done, should have gone in 6 months. Me now, if that was me now, I would have been gone in 2 weeks. I mean, now see you later, this isn't for me. I just stuck with it because pride gets in the way. Think I'm going to make this work. And it had too many things that just didn't work for me or I disagreed with, but you stick with it, don't you? So definitely worry a lot less for my younger self, definitely.
And a modern context on that? Your take on would you have any specific advice for someone now in today's age, or is that? I mean, I think that's a universal thing anyway. But
go for it. Just give it a go. Give things a go. I work for myself, best thing I ever did. But I had risks. I had challenges. I nearly went back to full-time work because COVID. And I was going to go work for the guy who I used to work for my last full-time job. So he sold his company. When I worked for another company, I'd apply for this job and I'll be reporting to him. So when we had an interview, it's basically a conversation how life's been for the last 3 years. The HR lady did nothing for an hour. I thought it was guaranteed got the job. So I was like, no, I've got this job. I didn't get the job because I'd been out this corporate gig for 6, 7 years. And he even called me and said, you're a different person. Do you want me to retest because we had to do a psychometric test? I said, there's no point because you want someone who's more corporate. I'm out of that area anymore. You don't want me. So I'm like, I haven't got a job. So what am I going to do? 5 minutes later, a guy who runs an MSP that I've known from networking rang me up and said, "Oh, how did you get on that job?" I said, "I didn't go there." He went, "Great." I said, "What do you mean great?" He said, "Oh, I've got some work, 3 months work for you. Do you want it?" I said, "Yes." I was just writing documents. I quite enjoy that. And then it's just gone.
There we go. And the power of
I
networking,
love
right?
that.
Love it. I love it when there's a power of networking piece within.
But it's networking, it's positive thinking, never burn bridges. And now most of my work comes from managed service providers because I give them a value add to what they do with their customers. So
That's the perfect partner channel.
works massively for me.
The partner value proposition
Yeah.
in my world is huge, right?
yeah, so I work for about 6 now. Yeah.
But I think that knockback, as horrible as it was at the time, I think that was really telling and probably gave you the confidence boost you never realised that you needed in the type of way that it was kind of delivered to you.
Yeah.
But made you think, do you know what? Actually,
But I would have been miserable, Georgina, because I wouldn't go back to full time.
Yeah.
I could never go back to full time now.
Unemployable.
idea.
Unemployable, right? I think we're all probably in that boat these days. So
but that's always been a negative. Thought as negatively, but
Yeah.
I don't think it should be anymore
No.
because actually being able to take yourself out of corporate and go, do you know what, I can think for myself. I can,
Yeah.
you know, gosh, I've been self-employed now for a year. I've made loads of mistakes or, you know, done things that haven't been perfect. And that's okay because I've learned so much from that. And I'm kind of going into year 2 and I mean, nothing is nailed and I'm certainly not the full package yet, but you're learning so much.
I still get told off by my tax lady, accountant, 7 years down the line because I do things wrong. You think you've got everything nailed on? They said, "Lee, what have you done?" Okay, sorry. Slap on the wrist, and you just learn as you go. So it's a continually learning thing.
everyone's winging it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Some of the people just hide it better.
Yeah.
So, Debs, over to you. Same question.
Ooh,
obviously.
okay. On a similar theme, I would say don't worry so much about what other people think about you. I've always been a bit of a misfit and a maverick, I suppose. And yeah, I've always felt people like me and they trust me. I've always known that, but I always had a problem with whether people respect me because I'm a bit quirky and a bit fun. And it tends to be taken as you're not very serious or maybe not capable, or that's the way I sort of took it. So I think rather embracing who I am and what I am, what I've made. I'm still trying to work out what I want to be when I grow up. So yeah, probably that. And don't invest money into things without properly investigating it or ask for help. Never been very good at asking for help. That would probably be my younger self for sure. Made a few very expensive mistakes back then, being too impulsive when I had plenty of money. Which sort of bite you on the bum more often than not. What would I say to young now? I'd say, and this isn't mine, but I think it's very, very true. Be the one posting the content, not the one watching it, scrolling it, because you know you're not getting anywhere doing that. You could spend hours and hours doing that.
Love that. That what you just said there would remind me of something that I say quite a lot around. And I always used to paraphrase it. The quote is around what other people think of me is none of my business. And I saw it the other day, and I typed it in. It's actually an Anthony Hopkins quote, Sir Anthony Hopkins quote, which is my philosophy is it's none of my business what people say of me and think of me. I am what I am and do what I do. I expect nothing and accept everything, and it makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
And if they aren't words to live by, then I don't know what are. So,
Okay,
so I think that's a brilliant one to bring up.
Yeah, really good.
Nice. Which moves us on to the networking section, doesn't it?
Networking 101.
Yes.
We're gonna go for it.
Yeah. Should we do that?
Amazing.
Right.
So just quickly mentioning our sponsor, which is O Water, which is just behind Debs. And we are, well, would anyone like some O Water? We've all got some glasses. I'll tell you what, we'll continue to talk and I will pour everybody some so they can, you know, wet
Would you
the
like a bottle
whistle.
passed around?
Yeah, I mean, you can pass me the bottle of fizz whilst
As
you're at it
a
as well.
voiceover artist, what we should have probably done is
Yeah, you
given
should have
like
done.
we should have probably given definitely like the should have given you the script for you to do the like turn on your voiceover the like
You definitely don't want to give it to me.
yeah, make it all sound professional. Like so there we go.
Water is one of my 3 favourite drinks, as well as a cup of tea and bubbles, of course.
Hey,
I drink
very
loads.
good.
I drink
Not in any
loads of- I drink
particular
loads of
water.
I've just done. In fact, when we recorded the last lot, I wasn't drinking, and my trouble when I go to pubs and stuff is that I don't drink. I have water and squash, or I don't. Right, I don't have fizzy drinks typically. So
Day drinking and a cup of tea in the evening, perfect.
yeah.
You know you're getting old, don't you? Wouldn't
If I
change
did
it
a
at all.
voiceover for something called O Water, it would probably go quite sort of seductive. As in yeah.
Oh,
Water.
oh, so I'm thinking fast shame. Like, oh, water.
Just
See,
instantly
she's water.
Oh my God.
Darren, if you listen, apologies.
Honestly, but the fun we have had with some of the, the social posts around O Water, and
Yeah, I can imagine.
it's been a right laugh. But yeah, so the
Makes
idea,
it memorable.
the
That's
idea,
point.
well, absolutely. So the idea with O Water is that it's harmonically treated with the frequency of 528 hertz, which is the frequency of love and healing.
What's the healing about?
Is that a double tap?
That's some kind of riff that I don't know about. Wow.
Yeah, I could have punched you.
Yeah.
But...
Right. So while we're having a water, and because we're moving into the networking section, and I'm going to link it in with like
Go.
the future self, I'm going to come to you.
Okay.
I think you'll have some good views on this. AI and networking and like the relationship building that people seem to try and outsource these days. I've massively kind of just biased my lean on how I've even framed that kind of question. But what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on it and the way the world's heading in terms of? Yeah.
But my usual stance on this is, like with most things, I can see very good uses for it, and very valuable and productive, and really good uses in medicine and everything else. But then I'm still like, did they not watch Terminator? Do not let the machines have control, and do not make robots with legs. Why do we have to make robots with legs? They shouldn't look like humans.
Is
I'm
it so they
sorry,
can't?
that
Is it so they
exactly-
can't get up the stairs?
This is
that
it.
essentially
It's
that?
Robots
like the
do not need
Daleks.
legs.
Yeah, you put a
and they do
jetpack
not
on it, it's
need-
perfectly fine. It's about Doctor Who.
getting faster. In Asia, they've already had like an Olympics
Yeah,
for robots,
yeah.
and they're getting faster.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do not need robots that run.
I was
They're
expecting a
already
slightly
strong.
more sane
And
answer.
they do not need to look
if I'm being
This is
honest.
totally insane. Don't need to look like humans. Don't need legs.
Okay. That wasn't what I expected, but I'm here for it. But I think you're right. I think even within business, there are right ways and wrong ways to use it, right? Which is, I'm a big believer in using it to buy you more time, so that you can then, like the spreadsheets that you were talking about, like use it to do that manual stuff, so that you can spend more time being creative and building relationships and talking and being human,
Yeah.
and all that. good-
Agreed.
all that.
Absolutely.
So Lee, your take on it, because I guess AI is a big part within your
massive.
world, a huge part within your world.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, I guess you'll use it all the time. I guess you have clients ask you about it.
Yeah.
So kind of, where do you think the line comes in?
So
Where-
I'm I listen to a lot of American podcasts. So TWIT, if you want to listen to really good tech podcasts, I've listened for years. So this is geekiness level. I listen to a podcast for 2.5 hours every week that talks about Windows. That's my level.
Microsoft Windows, or like the ones we look
Yeah,
through?
Microsoft
Yeah.
So that's what I listen to.
Wow.
So yes, my geekness level. But they're really good. But they talk about what's happening with AI out there, and very in America, it's all about humane AI now, about how it benefits companies and how it benefits society. So there's a lady called Amy Rush, who's a futurologist, and she wrote a book called The Big Nine. I think it's about 7 years ago, but I might get it slightly out. And she talked about how the 9 AI companies at the time and how they were going to evolve with society. So what we're seeing at the moment is what's happening with AI. So there's 3 main companies in China. So it may change a bit. There's sort of 6 main companies in America. So what's happening in China and Eastern society? They're using AI to rate citizens. So if you do something bad, you get less points. If you do something good, you get more points, and then you'll get benefits from the system.
You mean like the Black Mirror episode?
Well, someone told me,
It is-
yeah,
it is a Black
I
Mirror
believe it's what
episode.
you meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously in Western society, she said that everyone's going to sue each other because they're worried about their human rights and worried about their jobs. You've got the Writers Guild thing last year or the year before. So the nature of a job, if you're futurologist, that's what's happening with different societies and how they deal with it. But for my world, the stuff that I do a year ago, I would have to hire a developer. I can now do myself with AI. So bits that advance what I can offer for my clients, I would have to hire someone for a couple of days. I can do in 2 hours. So it means that I can expand what I can do, and then I learn as I go along. I said I like the learning side as well. So for me, I think AI is a very good thing. I think it's plateaued because resources, we haven't got enough energy, etc. But once we get into like quantum computing, which is that's for another day, then I think it's going to escalate massively. But I heard a really good. I spoke to Georgie about it the other day. I heard a really good analogy about AI and how people worried about it and how to look at it. About the airplane. Do you want to talk on Tuesday? So I didn't. This is how AI I think is, and how people look at it. The people probably think AI does everything. It's not. It's an enabler. It's meant to help us do things easier, do things quicker, and save us time. So think about flight. So you have a pilot and a co-pilot. I know this is exactly how it works, but I think it is a good idea. So the pilot takes off, and the pilot lands, and the co-pilot spends 80% of the time listening to the radio, looking out the window, having a cup of tea, having some food, etc. But the pilot takes off and the pilot lands. So the pilot is accountable for whether that flight's successful or not. All the co-pilot is doing is make sure it goes in the direction. Yep.
And in case the pilot has a heart attack.
Absolutely. And all that mundane stuff, yeah, which a lot of times we don't do anyway. So we look at it from an AI perspective. People just go, write me this document, thank you, and send it off. But you think about the pilot analogy, that's doing all of my work for me, but I still accountable and responsible for it going out and being successful. So I can give it an idea of what I want it to do. I look at the end and make sure it finishes, and I send it. So the 20-bit makes me more effective as a person, and I get rid of the 80% that I don't want to do. Now, that wasn't my analogy, because if it was, I would have told everyone about it. But I think it's a good way of how I think AI works and how people need to look at it. And the problem you've got, we are so ingrained with everyone selling us AI products, where people are just worried they have to be on this bandwagon. Where when I speak to people, do you have a case study that you can use it? Yes or no? No. Is it going to save you time or fix a problem? Yes or no? If not, just be curious, because the AI ship sailed, and you've got to be on it. Yeah, you've got to be on this ship. You can't be in denial and say, "Oh, I'm never going to touch AI." It's too ingrained in society. It's not going away. And you've got to embrace it in some capacity. But unfortunately, in my world, I do it a lot because it's the nature of what I do. But I think if you embrace it and then find opportunities where it benefit you without rushing to it, then you can make it work. I think we're just being forced to go into it and use it now, where unless you've got something that really benefits you, it's going to hinder you. And I think that's the challenge with it at the moment.
And I certainly think it hinders you if you're trying to use it to build relationships.
Yeah.
I think people see it,
yeah.
and it erodes trust. Anyway, bringing it back to networking.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't we?
Yes.
You're going to do this. So who's going to do the best intro?
So this is now everything to do with networking. We've talked about AI. We talked quite heavily in sessions about people using AI to respond to LinkedIn posts or even write LinkedIn posts, and how that really takes away the, as you say, the human. Because I know so many people that are really good at writing, that in the past have written really good posts that, really engaging, authentic, yada, yada, yada. And now they're just using AI. And I'm thinking, but why? Like, you don't need, I appreciate it's quicker, but actually you don't have to write a long post. It just needs to be short and snappy,
Well, the thing is, sometimes it's too short and snappy. It's over AI, and also it makes everything sound like an M&S advert. This isn't just this; it's this. Like, there are so many AI-isms in context.
All right, talking about the completely off piece here.
Saatchi.
The John Lewis
I saw
advert.
that was amazing,
Oh
wasn't it?
my goodness!
I saw you said that.
So they're very. I think they're hitting a particular demographic, of which I'm a part of. Let me just add.
Does that make us old now?
I was a little bit like.
Oh no!
That was quite powerful, wasn't it?
I was a bit hungover when I watched it as well, so I was booing like a baby.
However,
Sorry,
I'm already put off it because there's just so many LinkedIn posts about it. I'm like, oh my god! Like, it's like when a song gets overplayed. The ads almost went over. Just every other LinkedIn post is about.
Well,
it's
had the right effect, hasn't it? Because everyone's talking about it. So,
here we are.
well, I was going to say,
this podcast's going to come out in February, so this is not going to age well.
Well, we're still talking about it in February. So right, okay, listen, John Lewis, Saatchi, if you're listening.
Well done.
We're here for next Christmas.
Anyway, but back to networking. Debs, we're going to start with you. What is the best intro you've ever given? Oh, yeah, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah,
I know, I did that earlier. Sorry.
What's the best intro you've ever given or received?
Oh, you mean not introducing myself? You mean
No,
connecting
yeah, as in like a
people?
referral, an introduction.
crikey,
either
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be the best, just one that really springs to mind where
don't
you
know,
know it did something good, or one that you've been really, one that springs to mind that you were given a great bit of work. I know it's hard when you had lots, but
Well, I do it all the time. I just don't get paid for it. But oh, I know. Just thinking of a more recentish one. It's about a year ago this time. I was at a networking breakfast, stood up, did my 1 minute thingy. And so I can't remember what I said at the end of it. So I was like, did a cheers, I guess, because it was a champagne breakfast. and this guy came over to me afterwards I'd not met and just said, "Oh, I need to introduce you to a client of mine." And I was having a particularly bad week the week we met. And I was like, oh, okay, got to go meet this guy for coffee. And the sound was awful in this coffee shop. The other guy was there as well. I didn't really know him. But then some people left and the acoustics were better and we started chatting and really got on. And then he said, I'd like to come and have the tour of the vineyards and winery. So he did that a couple of weeks later. And he said at the end of it, he said, I like the business and I like you, Debs. I've just got to go and talk to my accountant because we have EIS, which gives people 30% off their tax or tax relief, etc. And so he went off and saw him and came back and he invested quite a lot of money. So that was a very just
Nice.
literally one of those boom things.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it was really nice. And a really nice guy as well. Fascinating guy. It's a good fun.
and there's a lot of talk about kind of networking being a slower game, but sometimes right
Occasionally,
place,
but
right
yes.
time, and when you're and clarity.
Yeah.
Whatever I know you just kind of went, I can't remember what I said at the end. Whatever you said, it was obviously clear, concise, spoke to a particular message, right?
Yeah.
And when that happens, then you get the stories like that, don't you?
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mine was a slow game one actually. So I was part of a networking group in London, quite an expensive one. And there was a HR lady there, and she said, "I want to introduce this guy called Dan Wright, who runs a company called Monochrome." We had a conversation, lovely bloke. And about 18 months after that, he called me up and said, "Oh, you do the Power BI stuff, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, my father-in-law wants some work. Can you do a little bit for them?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing some other contract stuff, but I can do like half a day a week or whatever." He said, "That's great." So I started doing half a day for about 3 months and did this work for him. And then I think about another year passed, and he went, "I've got a 2-year gig for you. Do you fancy it?" I was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
So I mean, obviously, contract interviews are quite interesting, aren't they? I haven't had a proper interview for ages. You know, you would go on the phone and say, "Oh, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Are you a psychopath?" "No." "Good, you're hired." That's how I tell people how contract interviews are. And it was great. And I was there for about 19 months. It was a brilliant gig, and it was absolutely superb. But I don't look for those anymore because I like the portfolio, I like the variety. But it was a brilliant 18 months set up, great fun. Went up to the north quite a bit in a really, really interesting industry. And I think that just shows the power because Georgie knows I'm not a LinkedIn fan. I network. I don't put stuff on LinkedIn. I don't like the whole process. It bores me. But I will go to meet people. I go to see people. I like that bit much better than because I spend most of the time sitting on screens all the time anyway. I don't spend even more on a screen. I'd rather go out and meet people, and most of my stuff comes from referrals and meeting people anyway. It's not putting a post on LinkedIn, and it just doesn't work for me. So yeah, that was a great setup. But I think the whole thing took about 2.5 years before I got that 2-year one. So we met. He remembered me. Obviously, made a good impression, and that's the power of networking, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
And a similar thing around clarity, right? You obviously, whatever you said to me, remembered who you are, what you do. So.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even connect that much on LinkedIn. It was just he remembered, and it was like. Okay.
But you said Power BI, and for some reason that stuck in his head because it's not like an everyday thing. It's like,
it's
oh,
not.
I'm an accountant, or I'm a this, or I'm a something quite everyday. Whereas that being specific, as you say, but actually a good introduction for me is in the room. So do you remember we went to that event in Alberslosh in the West End, and I met Debs for the first time, and then you went, "Oh, you're chatting to Debs. I've known her for ages," and we just got chatting, didn't we? For not too long, but enough time for me to go.
Say,
So
oh
the
yeah,
funny-
because we'd been connected and
great.
never quite actually taken it any further.
So the funny thing about that day was I brought someone to that event.
Yep.
And I'd said I only know one person. I know the host and one other person, which was you going to this event. So no idea. And then Debs walked through the
I remember your
door.
face.
I was like, oh, I hadn't seen it at that point, like years and years, and like it must have been at least 10 years.
Well over, I
Yeah,
would
it must
say,
have been at least 10 years.
Aw.
I was like, oh my word. But then quarter of an hour later, someone else walked through the door who I know from that same time, Barnaby, who you didn't actually know, did you? You
I
knew
think
of.
so, no.
And so like two people, there was huge blasts from my past of both this event and didn't know each other. And it was just so weird. But like,
But isn't
wonderful.
that funny that all these years later, you're still on the networking scene and you're still getting leads from it in some capacity, but it's about,
It's all about
always,
people. Yeah,
always
totally.
be filling up that pipeline with new events, more events. And it's not a one and done. It is, you got to be consistent with it. Yes, you might have a year off for some reason, or, you're too busy or whatever, but I think it's so important to know that networking.
Yeah. Can I just got something to, sorry, you were going to say something.
No.
Okay.
It's
Go for it.
Go for
I don't want Lee to feel left out in here because you're my newest
Lee's
contact.
Lee's been talking lots.
Oh yeah, no. I meant in this context.
I'm so bored of Lee.
In this context, it was like you're my newest contact. I think we met at the last, one of the last ones of this.
was.
And I remember we were chat, really having a good time. And you had to leave, and I went, hang on a minute. And so we've had such a good time. I don't know what you do. And you were there, and you laughed, and it's just like because we just really clicked and got on. You were good fun.
George's only jealous because I'm winning more paddle games than she is at the moment.
But Deb too, I met Lee for the first time after the first podcast recording we did, and I think we chatted over a couple of beers without really talking about what each other did we?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. You've made an impression, which if you say to me, IT geek, but you're actually really good fun.
Actually, really good fun.
You're
Love that.
actually.
know.
No. Can you please put that on your LinkedIn little strapline? I'm actually really good.
I'm going to do it now.
Please.
So the reason why I paused is I paused is because I had a question I was going to ask a little bit later, but you spoke about just then about always topping up your event, your pipeline, new events, and all that.
Yeah.
Right, but there is a quality over quantity piece here, isn't there?
Oh yes.
So
we need to
for
talk about it.
like, you've been networking longer than I have, right? And do lots of networking. Lee, I know you do loads of networking. Georgie, you do loads of networking. We're all like, there is an art to picking the right room, right? Because there's only so much network. We all know the people that turn up to the opening of an envelope, right? So while Lee's busy updating his LinkedIn profile, how do you pick the right room to be in? Either a new event, or how do you select? Is this a group that I'm going to come to consistently? Like,
This is a really interesting one because people used to call me, the queen of networking, but I can still walk into a room and think, I'm really not feeling it, and just want to turn around and walk out again.
absolutely.
I'm just not that. I can go anywhere, anyone. If I feel like that, I usually try and find someone I know, or look at the person who looks like they'd be the most fun, and I make a beeline for them and start chatting. And I don't care about the business. It's exactly what I tend to do.
I was going to ask though, a little caveat to that: is that more about your mindset walking in, or is that about the room?
It can be either and both.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does depend. It really does. But sometimes you can go into one of those and meet someone and really click and have a great time.
Yeah.
Even though you think, oh,
You might walk
did I
in a bit of a, on a downer day,
Yeah,
but
or walk in
actually,
and
and
go,
it brings you up.
"No."
But I find that so sometimes if I don't go out networking enough, just because I'm busy, not because there's no events to go to, because as we all know, there's many. But sometimes I'll walk in thinking, oh God, I'm sort of feel a little bit out of it. Not network for 2 days, but I come away just energized from it. Not every time, but a lot of the time. And I think people that see networking as, I don't know, a drain on their time, a drain on whatever. I wish they could see how energized most people in the room get just by hanging out with other like-minded professionals. It's not always salesy, and you can just learn so much, and just you suck that energy from.
I have to be careful sometimes because if someone comes up to me and without even asking me my name, sometimes go, "Hello, what do you do?" And sometimes I go, "Please don't ask me that first question," or just I don't even say that. I say, "Hi, I'm Debs. I live in Poole," or like, "Where do you live?" And I just ignore the question or something. And sometimes I'll just be really straight with them and just like, "Please don't do that," because I just think, oh. But at other times I gently kind of.
But is that a thing around with back to that thing around picking the right rooms. Is the right room sometimes, yes, the commercial piece of like, is this going to get me where I need to be? But it's an energy piece as well, right? You want the room, you want to be in the rooms where you look forward to going to them, and then you feel even better on the way out.
Well, I think, as you said, I think it's so from my point of view, if I know at least one person that is going, and I know that they are a laugh, or good for me, whether that be energy wise, whether that be business wise, whether that be someone I'm still nurturing, then I will go purely based on that one person, and anything else is kind of a bonus. That doesn't mean I will walk into any room on that basis, but sometimes if I'm on the fence, it will be right. Is it worth going for that one connection? But I mean, I'm pretty certain everyone's got different opinions on that.
Yeah,
What about you, Lee?
So I'm in a few networking groups. So one of them I'm part of is Tech Tribe, which is all basically geeks, as it says in the tin. And we went to shooting, didn't we? Not Fairmont, sorry. The
Four Seasons in Hook, Hampshire.
Yeah, which was really good. So it's one of the network groups I'm on. But Tech Tribe, we meet up in an office and we have Domino's Pizza and Diet Coke. But it's some brilliant conversations and some really good people there, and we talk about some really good stuff. Now, for 99%,
really good stuff, brilliant. I think that might depend on your.
Now, to 99% of the people, that will be really, really boring crap. But for us, it's really, really important stuff. So I think sometimes it's about networking is getting a blend of different people, and where you potentially are looking for people that will benefit from your services, or you can get something from it. But other ones, you want to be people in a similar area, so you can talk about your challenges and what issues you've got and how you're doing things, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and then there's a lot of, even though people think it's quite doom and gloomy, there's lots of work to go around, and I think sometimes you need to have a bit of both.
Yeah.
And I think, as you mentioned earlier about energy, I think when people go to these networking events, most people have got the same challenges. That they are worrying about money, they are looking for new work, they are looking at how they deal with their pensions and deal with their tax. So we all have the similar things we want to talk about. So being in a room where you might not be talking about it, but you know that everyone's got challenges, brings the energy up, because you're with a group of people collectively, whereas you don't necessarily have to talk about it.
So interestingly, most of my work is with agencies, right? And so in fact, on picking rooms, I can't stay for your event tonight because actually I'm going to an agency event, which I'm going to, because target market, but like there's a few prospects in the room, some partners in the room, so it just makes, as much as I would love to stay with you, it makes more sense for me to go to that particular room. But the agency community in general, it's also wonderful networking because they're very different types, and it's all that very collaborative. It's all that very collaborative type of network, and very partner driven, very peer group driven, which is the most enjoyable type of networking.
Absolutely.
I think it's really important what you said about, you're all going through these journeys, not just as business owners, but as humans. So the pension piece, that really boring bit in the middle, or, it could be that people bond about kids or dogs or holidays or whatever. And I think, being open to whatever the conversation is, but being in the room with the right people and your peers, of course, is very important. Go on, Debs.
Sorry. No, I didn't want to cut you off in the middle. I just wanted to remember something. So,
go on.
I mean, it was true years ago, and it's still true now. And I do still say it to people. It's not necessarily the person you're talking to. It's their sister, mother, uncle, neighbour. It's the other people that they then might know. So you might think, oh, there's nobody in here that's going to be, useful to me in business, but they know so many other people as well. So as long as you're building a rapport with someone, they might not be your ideal contact, but someone they know could be, like the guy who came up to me after the breakfast.
Through the room, not to the room, right?
Absolutely, that's a nice little hook there.
Well, Deb, we're on episode 5, so 10th guest. You're the first one that's put their hand up. So I like that a lot. Are we doing heaven versus hell? We've got to do heaven versus hell.
Yeah, so we don't have a huge amount of time left, so we're just going to rattle through these last.
We've got to do heaven versus hell, haven't we? And then we'll do quick fire.
Exactly. So we're going to heaven versus hell. Tell us what your idea of which
networking heaven and networking hell.
Which we ask them both. Let's go hell first.
Yeah, okay.
What event wise?
Yeah, networking wise. So it could be it could be event, or it could be online networking. Networking hell.
Anywhere where you pitch for 30 seconds and move to the next one. I would, because I don't need lots of clients, so that would be completely wasted on me, and I would pull any hair I had, if I had on my head, out within 10 seconds.
Okay, and tell me why casually networking over beer is your networking heaven.
You're just answering that yourself, you know. They're basically having a beer. No, I just think it's more, as you said, it's more chilled. It's about understanding people first. I think the lesson a lot of people learn when they start up, they become very price sensitive, and they worry about price and competing with loads of people. Whereas I think when you get a bit mature and you can work with other people and you get a bit more established, then that comes out of the way a bit. So you don't have to always go for the cheapest person. You find the right person, get the value, because you hire the person at the end of the day. So we all been there. We all have to start on that journey. And I just think when you get to a certain point, just having a chat and getting that empathy and trust with someone is more powerful than how much is your day rate.
Well, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. I say that day in, day out because of the nature of what I do. But people forget the like bit these days, right? And that's the bit that AI is trying to replace. No, that's what I like. Just do the volume, right? But like the like bit, that's what face to face. That's what events. That's what
sticks.
Chatting. That's what you can't replicate that, right? So, yeah, I love your answer, Deb. Have hell in heaven.
Okay, the hell. Probably so many, but you just made me think of one that's like you get these online network things now, and they just don't do it for me. So you go into a room and it's just we're moving to another room. And you're just,
that's a good shout. Actually. That's a legacy of COVID, isn't it?
Point. Yeah. That is one of them. So you don't really remember the people. You don't really tend to get to know anyone, even on a screen. Even if it's just a one kind of thing, you've got to meet the person. But I'm completely opposite to you, because heaven to me is having the 30 seconds or a minute. Not just mine, because I wouldn't have got my biggest client if I hadn't done that at that breakfast. I might not have even spoken to him or ever met him, because he only went to that one event. But it's hearing what everyone else does, and you think, oh, I need to go and talk to them. And your radar goes off, because I'm a natural connector, like David, you sort of think, oh, he'd be a good connection for them, even if it's not just for me. So they're one of my, I have to say, they're one of my favourites. But I do like the more chilled drinking, because then you really get to know someone and you develop the relationship and nurture it, and it gets deeper. And
I love that you both had a complete, conflicting opinions on that, because that just goes to show people.
It's what you need.
Well, I'm going to conflict on your hell, because I think it has a place, online networking, like online speed networking type things. I hate, right? But I've made some brilliant relationships online that but you start them there, you develop them.
We met online.
No,
that was another kind of thing.
No, but we started chatting online.
This is their first argument online.
No, but we started chatting digitally, and then we met off the back of that. So I also think where you're following people's LinkedIn. I know you don't love LinkedIn, but for those that are on LinkedIn, you can. And I was having a meeting just before this actually with a guy, and I was saying I can tell by your LinkedIn posts and the sorts of people that are authentically commenting on it, because he's just started his own business, and people that are backing him. And because of that is validation for me that he's a likable person, and that ticks a lot of boxes for me.
So the meeting that I was having when you walked in, and I said, and I introduced you, and there was someone you knew, and will she introduce me? Yes, she absolutely will, because of the fact that you're a client and she knows that I only work with good people, she will introduce you to her person, because she knows that you're good by virtue of me. That is the power of connection and referrals.
I'm talking about that kind of the Revo thing, where you go into a room and then you got swapped to another room. I hate that. It changes too much, and there's too many people. You don't remember anyone. I knew you were going to say something, because as I was talking, you went.
Oh, speed networking, whether it's online or offline, is
it's more like
it's the breakout room thing for me that I hate.
I don't mind them. I don't like them now.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that I don't like LinkedIn, that I've changed my LinkedIn profile, so loads of people are now going to comment on it. Thanks, Georgina. Thank you.
Right, we've got 3 minutes. We've got to do quick fire. We've got to do the quick fire. Right.
This is all networking related, by the way.
Ish. No, it's not. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay, ish. All right, okay, ish.
Boozer or swanky bar?
3, 2, 1.
Swanky bar.
Okay. You're not the first person to say that. Okay. Early morning or night owl?
3, 2, 1.
Early morning.
Yeah, early morning. You also really? A bit of it. Yeah, no, but I like a bit of night.
Hey.
Okay, right.
Table push.
Business cards, yes or no?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
No.
Yes.
I'm with you, Debs. 100% yes. Right. Drinks at events. Yes or no?
3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Definitely.
Hey!
Wait, even with your preference of mornings, Deb.
That was my
After drinking's the way forward.
AI comments on LinkedIn. Yes or no?
3, 2, 1, go.
No.
No.
Yeah, right. What was your first car?
3, 2, 1.
A Mini
XR3i.
Cooper Sprintsel something or other that rattled and.
Okay, no. And final one. What's your favourite cheese?
3, 2, 1, go.
Brie.
Cheddar.
Brilliant cheddar. Right, okay. Right, we got our final thing.
Final
Thing is that we're going to go Lee first, then Deb. I think. Yeah.
Go for it.
Networking tip. One networking tip for people out there. What would it be?
Do it. Just do. I think most people have a massive fear to begin with promoting and selling themselves. And I think you get over that. The sooner you get over that, the better you can enjoy it, and the better you can see the benefit of it. I think people just get too stuck and worried about what they're saying. And I think you just got to go out there, make mistakes early, and then just keep on with it.
I like your second answer. 'Cause your first answer was just do networking. And your second was actually don't be afraid to sell yourself.
Don't be
Which
afraid to sell.
I think there's a balance, isn't there, between being confident and arrogant and salesy. And I think being confident is fine.
But there was a key word there, and that was enjoyment.
Absolutely.
You would just not go, and I would not go. You wouldn't. I know none of us in this room would go, especially not Jack, who's not on camera, but I know he wouldn't go if he didn't enjoy the venue, the people, and you got to enjoy all of these things, not just one of them. But I think it's so important to have that enjoyment because, God, why would you ever put, especially as a business owner, why would you put yourself through something that you don't enjoy?
Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't be hard work.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
You know what? The viewers aren't going to enjoy me biting my thumb while you were giving your answer there. Just when I was doing that, biting my thumb while you're giving, that's not going to be enjoyable.
You
is
nervous?
It? Yeah. Oh, does it show? Right. Deb, your networking tip.
Probably
Networking queen as you are, of course.
not. So the old adage: people buy from people. Get to know the person rather than trying to sell them your business. And remember, it's not necessarily the person you're talking to, but all the people they know that could potentially be one of your ideal contacts.
Wonderful.
Right. Perfect. I think we're done.
Thank you.
To the bar.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you to the bar. Emotional.
No, that was amazing. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's a wrap.
Done.
Bosh.
Hey, really hope you both enjoyed that and found it useful.
And if you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.
Cheers.